Well, it's finally here. After weeks and weeks of rumors going around and everyone trying to make out what's real and what's fake, finally the PlayStation Experience Conference is upon us, and they did indeed announce the sequel to the game that everyone was asking about. Knack 2. I am clearly kidding about that, although I gotta say, that probably wins for biggest surprise of the conference, because who the heck saw that coming? Does anyone even remember Knack? Anyway, moving on to what people actually want to talk about. Yes, many different sequels were announced at the PlayStation Experience, including Last of Us Part 2, which shows us an older Ellie, so I am very happy to see where that story is going to go, and a brand new Uncharted game that's going to follow Chloe, which to me is the perfect way to take the next installment of this franchise. Leave Nathan Drake behind and move on to some other characters, including some badass characters we have already met. But the big one that I am going to talk about today is that the next installment for Marvel vs. Capcom was announced. Hey there everyone, it's me, Aaron, and this is Game Room, the show where we just geek out about video games on this channel. And today I am going to take a look at the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite trailer and break down every single thing that I can tell from that trailer, as well as theories that I've come up with, and address some of the concerns that a lot of you have expressed about this game. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about doesn't even have to do with this game. It's just something that I think Capcom really should take away from this trailer, because when they started showing the trailer for this, before anyone even knew it was a trailer for Marvel vs. Capcom, we just saw the word Capcom appear up there on the screen, and then we saw X from Mega Man X start walking around, and the crowd went nuts, and you know that when the word Capcom popped up there, everyone thought, this is it. This is the Marvel vs. Capcom trailer, because we've been hearing rumors about this forever. It's been going on for over a week now. People have been saying it's going to premiere today at the PlayStation Experience. So when they saw the word Capcom, that's what everyone thought. But as soon as they saw X, I guarantee you about 50% of that audience, especially the part of the audience that was screaming and applauding the loudest, thought, oh my god, it's not Marvel vs. Capcom. We're finally getting a new Mega Man game. After all this time, we're getting another Mega Man X game. And I guarantee you that when Ryu popped up, that half of the audience kind of quieted down, but it was like, oh, okay, so it's Marvel vs. Capcom. I still guess that's okay. I kind of feel bad for that part of the audience, because there were people out there who for a split second thought we were finally getting a new Mega Man game. So before I even talk about what we know about this game, Capcom, that was a sign. You are not going to get a clear message that people want another Mega Man X. But okay, moving into what we can actually tell from this trailer, I'm going to go ahead and start off by addressing X himself, as well as Captain Marvel and that mysterious figure that we saw there at the end, because if you follow me on Twitter, then you know that I've been taking suggestions from you guys of who I should put on my top 10 characters I want to see in Marvel vs. Capcom list. Because back when the rumors for this game were still circulating and we didn't know if it was real, I decided, you know what, it would probably be a good idea for me to plan ahead. So I started putting together a list of 10 Marvel characters and 10 Capcom characters I want. And X was definitely on the Capcom side, but Captain Marvel was way up there on the Marvel side, so I was very happy to see both of those characters already pop up. In fact, on that list, I also started putting down what I want to see their ultimate moves be, and for Captain Marvel, I said, have her start glowing and go into binary mode, and in this trailer, we see her go into binary mode. So that lets me know that the people who are working on the Marvel half of this have already thought through what each of their special moves should be. But there at the end of this trailer, we saw who is going to be the big mysterious villain of this whole game. And at first, when I saw the eyes light up, I thought it was Ultron. But the more I take a look at it, the more I see that he's got a big collar around his neck, and I was very confused about the eyes that lit up on his chest. But then I started thinking about it, and we saw Mega Man X in there. Who was Mega Man X's biggest villain? Sigma, a robot who is able to take over other robots. What is Ultron? A robot. Honestly, I can't picture a better final boss to have in a Marvel vs. Capcom game than an Ultron Sigma hybrid. Now, the next detail that we can tell from this trailer is that it does confirm a rumor that was going around that this game would no longer be 3 versus 3. Instead, it would now go back to 2 versus 2, which is what the very first Marvel vs. Capcom was, but they would also let you have assist characters that you could call in to just perform one move. Honestly, I like 3 versus 3, but I also like the 2 versus 2 with the one assist character that you could bring in. So if they're going down to 2 versus 2, I'll be okay with it as long as they give me that assist character, partly because A, it does spice up the gameplay a little bit, but also because you can then throw in a ton of characters that people wanted to see in these games just as assist characters, and then you don't have to stop and think of a way to program every single one of them as a fightable character. It would be a great way to meet all your fans halfway when you have a character that you know you can't actually put in the game, but you still find a way to sneak them in there somehow. But that's not the only thing returning from these previous Marvel Fighter games. One of the very first Marvel Fighter games that Capcom made was Marvel Superheroes, and in that game, you would actually have infinity gems on the field, and if you picked them up, it would enhance your speed, it would enhance your strength, your defense. Every single gem would give you a different kind of buff for a limited amount of time. And in this trailer, we do see infinity gems, and we see that if the character grabs the gem, then it is going to provide some kind of a special effect. We see Ryu grab the power gem, and suddenly he gets strong enough to punch Iron Man, but then we also see Captain Marvel She grabs a green gem, which in the comics is the soul gem, but in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the green gem is the time gem. And considering the fact that we see her jumping all around after she grabs it, they're probably going with the Marvel Cinematic Universe interpretation of it. Listen, I know a lot of people have a lot of problems with how much this game is rumored to rely on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I will get to that in just a second. But compared to the concerns that most people have, them just changing the colors of the gems isn't really a big deal to me. I can let that one slide. Now I'm going to geek out on you guys for just a second here because yes, I am indeed a huge Marvel Comics fan, so I should have recognized right off the bat that those were the Infinity Gems and they were bringing them back from the previous Marvel Superheroes fighting game. However, I'm also a big fan of Capcom games, and one of my favorite Capcom games that no one seems to remember and Capcom never seems to have any plans to return to is Power Gem, a fighting game where you would gather up gems, and when you collect them all, you would then transform for a few seconds into a super version of yourself, and you could just beat the snot out of your opponent and pretty much always just win the fight with that. So, I gotta be honest with you, the moment that I saw them about to grab that gem and then gain a power up from it, my very first thought was, oh my god, please tell me those are power gems. Please tell me you were going to put power gems in this game. But no, they are, of course, the Infinity Gem. I should have realized that right off the bat. However, it did get me thinking. Marvel has a set of gems that give you great powers. Capcom has a set of gems that gives you great powers. What if this could actually tie into the story and maybe the power gems are Capcom's version of the Infinity Gems? I am totally going into geeky speculation theory mode on this one, but I think that would be a ton of fun to put into the story mode. But alright, before I get to the big thing that everyone is talking about, there is one last thing that I wanted to address, which is that it says this game is coming out in 2017. I highly doubt that. If it's coming 2017, it is coming late 2017. I would not be shocked if this game ends up getting delayed. And considering how buggy and screwed up Street Fighter V was when they pushed it to meet its expected date rather than delaying it to give it enough time to be perfected, I would actually rather they delay this game as much as they possibly have to in order to make it as good as possible. Because Disney, the owners of Marvel, they were very against the idea of anyone touching any characters that they own. That's why as soon as they bought up Marvel, we stopped getting updates to Marvel vs. Capcom 3, because they want all their games to be made in-house. That's why most of the Marvel games that we've been getting over the past couple of years have all been phone app games. However, about 4 or 5 months ago, right around the time that Disney Infinity collapsed, Disney then came out and said, alright fine, we're going to let other companies start making games for us. And then shortly after that, we got the trailer for the new Insomnia Spider-Man game. So it's very clear that Disney made good on their promise. They said they were going to let other people make their games, and looking at what has just recently happened, it's clear that they meant that. We are finally going to start getting other companies making Marvel games again, and I am very happy to see that. However, as I said, they just made this promise a couple months ago. It's going to take Capcom longer than a year to get out there a good fighting game, so yeah, don't be surprised if this thing gets delayed till 2018. Like, late 2018. But alright, let's get into the serious stuff, because I know I have many comic book fans and many X-Men fans who follow my channel. Thank you all for doing that, and I know that you are all very concerned because a rumor was going around from someone who worked on this game saying, yeah, we were in touch with Marvel, they are not letting us use any Fox-owned characters. That means no Fantastic Four related characters, and no X-Men characters. And that is a big deal, not just because the X-Men have a very loyal fan base. I have heard from many of you about how upset you are at what Marvel has been doing to the X-Men in the comics. I'm not going to get into that now because most of you already know about this, but yes, it looks like they are going to push this trend into their games as well. But also, even if you are not an X-Men fan, and if you were just a fan of the previous Marvel vs. Capcom games, you know Dr. Doom is one of the biggest played characters out there. When you see Marvel vs. Capcom being played at EVO, Dr. Doom is one of those characters who always pops up. So this means that we wouldn't get him, we wouldn't get Deadpool, we wouldn't get Wolverine, we wouldn't get Storm, we wouldn't get Sentinel, another character who many high-level players choose. So this is indeed very upsetting news for anyone who is either a Marvel fan or a Marvel vs. Capcom fan. Now, I'm not going to come in here and tell you guys, hey, relax, none of that is true, the X-Men are indeed going to be in this game, because I don't know that, nobody knows that, it has not been confirmed yet, and I could totally see the people over at Marvel doing something as dickish and childish as trying to keep all the Fox characters out of this game because they feel that would then be promoting the Fox movies. However, at the same time, before everyone freaks out and says, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing possible, I can't believe that they are going to do this to the X-Men, again, nothing has been confirmed yet. Yes, the news that there won't be any mutants in this game did indeed come from a pretty reliable source. However, again, nothing has been revealed about this game just yet. Yes, I would have felt way better if one of the first characters that we saw in that trailer was Wolverine, but at the same time, I fully understand why Marvel would not want to put any of the X-Men in the opening trailer for this. But just because they don't put them in the opening trailer doesn't mean that they won't be in this game. And plus, I think end of the day, Marvel still realizes that, okay, we shouldn't promote the X-Men too much, but we still make more money by keeping them around than we make by just locking them up in the closet and pretending like they don't exist. I mean, let's be honest, Deadpool alone being in this game would sell a couple of copies. And I have already heard from many of you saying that if the X-Men are not in this game, I am not going to buy it. Hey man, that's great. Vote with your dollar. If you are really that upset that they would not put the X-Men in this game, make that clear. Make it known. Let people know you are not going to buy this game if the X-Men are not in this game, because the final roster for this game definitely is not confirmed yet. They have not had enough time to put together the final roster yet, so there is still time for Marvel to receive your message and know, hey man, we actually could make more money by putting them in this game. But just to try and comfort you guys a little bit and let you know that it's not all doom and gloom, even if the X-Men are not in the opening roster of this game, that still doesn't really mean anything. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. The main reason why Marvel Studios does not want to promote the X-Men in any way isn't just because they feel like it then promotes the characters that Fox owns and it then promotes the Fox movies. It's also because Fox owns 50% of the merchandising rights for all the X-Men figures, and when it comes to what makes comic books and movie studios the most money, it's merchandising. And that's the big problem, is that Disney does not want to split the money that it makes off the merchandising for the X-Men with Fox. However, Disney has some really good lawyers, and they could easily come in and argue that digital copies of video games and DLC content does not count as merchandising, at least not in the way that the contract between Marvel Studios and Fox stipulates that it does. And as I said, Marvel knows people love the X-Men and they are willing to spend money on them, so I would not be shocked at all if we do not get any of the Fox characters in the original roster of this game, but then 6 months later they come out and go, here's the X-Men DLC pack, in which we include Wolverine, Deadpool, Storm, Sentinel. Dr. Doom is in there for some reason because we're not going to put together a Fantastic Four pack because seriously nobody is going to buy just that. And then they come in and just argue that that doesn't count as merchandising, so Fox doesn't get any of the money off of it. That way Marvel would get the money and then they wouldn't have the X-Men in the original roster of this game, meaning that they wouldn't be completely promoting the X-Men, which is another concern that Marvel Studios has. Again, this is just a theory on how this could all go down, but it's the reason why I'm not freaking out quite like everyone else is. And remember, I am no stranger to freaking out about the possible fate of the X-Men. I've made many videos talking about this and trying to warn you guys about what's happening to the X-Men in the comics. But I think as of now, they are going to be okay in this game, because I do think that there are still ways of working around whatever weird legal loopholes that Marvel has to go through in order to get the X-Men in this game. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you thought about this reveal trailer in the comments down below. And if you want to see more from me dealing with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, like I said, I've got 2 videos coming up next week. A top 10 list of Marvel characters I want in the game, and a top 10 list of Capcom characters that I want in the game. In fact, who am I kidding? It's going to be closer to a top 20 because there's so many that I want in this game, it's hard to pick. So if you want to see either of those, then make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Also, share these videos around the web and give us a thumb up. It is the best way to help out this channel, so thank you to everybody who does that. And as always, you can contact me on Twitter and Tumblr and Twitch at Professor Thorgy. I do streaming every single Saturday, so if you want to check those out, then make sure that you follow me over there as well. Thanks again for watching, everyone. Come back next time.